Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Tuesday, March the 29th. We'll go ahead and call the full local government committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Representatives Calfee, Carr, Chisholm, Gant, Helton, Hodges, Holsclaw, Leatherwood, Love, Manis, Miller, Moody, Moon, Reedy, Rudd, Shaw, Williams, Vice Chairman Wright, Chairman Crawford.
Here.
Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Let the record reflect that Representative Miller is excused. Do any of the members have any announcements or personal orders? Seeing none, the chairman will take privilege. I have the president of our local Republicans of Kingsport Club, but better than that, I have my wife with me here today. Will you please make her feel welcome? Yeah, I'll be nice today. I got a bill coming up in finance I needed some help on. So we got 23 bills today. Some of them's going to be rolled, but that's our agenda. We have not announced last calendar yet, so hopefully we'll be able to do that next week. So if you've got bills in election subcommittee, you need to get them rolling because we're getting ready to shut this thing down. All right, we're ready to get started on item number 1, House Bill 2907. Do I have a motion? Motion and second. Is he with us? I don't see him. Without objection, we're going to roll this to the hill. Item number 2 is Chairman Whitson as well. It's House Bill 1201. Without objection, we'll roll this to the hill. Our next item, we're going to take out of order. I have a chairman that's with us, and we need to get him out so he can take care of his committee. At this time, I'll recognize Chairman Boyd, which will be item number 8. Got a proper motion and second. House Bill 2905 doesn't have an amendment, so you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. House Bill 2905 is a private act for one of the school districts in Wilson County. It's 11 in special school district, and I am not sure why they would want to do this, but they currently have elections every 6 years, and they would like to reduce that to 4 years. And I don't understand. I'd like to take those 2 years and use them as a state rep, but that is at their request, and so I'm honoring that, Mr. Chairman. I'll take any questions.
Let the record reflect that I do have a resolution of 2/3 of the governing body in my office. Do we have any questions for the sponsor? Questions been called on the bill. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2905. Moving on, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee.
Jumping back to item number 3. Get back on my page. Item number 3 is Speaker Marsh. Is he here? Without objection, it'll be rolled 3 spaces. Item number 4, House Bill 2842 by Leader Camper. She here? There she is. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second on the bill. I do see it has an amendment. Leader Camper, can you please give us your drafting code?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Committee. Drafting code 161016389.
That is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second on the amendment. You're recognized, Leader Camper, on your amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. With this amendment, we are, sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With this amendment, Mr. Chairman, what we're doing is authorizing election commissioners to allow people to use the restroom not mandating that they have to, but if the facility have a restroom, that volunteers working the polls could actually use the restroom. That's what the amendment does.
You've heard the response from the sponsor on the amendment. Representative Gant, Leader Gant, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Leader, would this not create people being in the voting area that does not need to be in the voting area?
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, Leader, what this does is you have volunteers that's out working the polls, and when they go in, right now, what they have to do is leave all their political stuff outside, take their political shirt off, put on a jacket, and go in and use the restroom. No, so all the political stuff is left outside the 100-foot mark.
Leader Gant.
But could this not create some bad actors that could take advantage of this situation and, depending on where that restroom is at, go right through the middle of the voting area and potentially disrupt the voting process?
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't see that being the case. I think that the local commissioners and the judges and everybody that's on site, if that's the case, they still have the ability to not authorize it. So it's really permissive. So if where the restroom is going to cause somebody to go straight through like that, then they don't have to allow people to use the restroom. I'm saying that there are places, for instance, there are auditoriums, there are gyms, there are churches that have facilities that are away from where the voting is actually taking place. And people can go and use the restroom and never enter into it's a whole another door. Authorizing those people to let people use the restroom. If it's a situation where they have to go actually through, then the locals still have the authority to not do this. This bill is not taking away the authority for them to do that.
Leader Gant.
So what caused this legislation? I mean, is there an example of why this is needed?
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there was a time where people could just go use the bathroom, and people would just go use, and they would leave the literature out. They would take their shirts off, and they would go in and use the restroom. I don't know, maybe maybe a couple elections ago in Shelby County, they cited an old law that said we don't have to let you use the restroom, so we're going to stop letting people use the restroom, and they just stopped allowing people to use the restroom.
Leader Gant.
So now what happens if somebody needs to use a restroom? Are they not allowed to go to the restroom now?
Leader
No.
Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No, they have to go back home or go to gas station somewhere nearby. Yeah, they don't let them come in and use it.
Leader Gant.
So this is actually opening up a new process that's not recognized in Tennessee code, correct?
Leader Camper.
Well, I'm not. I think the old law that's on the books, which was something that they cited as something as a reason to not allow people go. So I don't think it's creating anything new. I think it's just amending what's there that will authorize locals to, or make it permissive really, if they will allow people to use the restroom.
Thank you. You answered my questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Calfee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Leader Camper, I have some of the same concerns that Leader Gant had. My dad, for many years, till I got elected to county commission, always helped with our local voting precinct. He was the judge or whatever the title was. And we voted in what had been a county school building at one time and then converted into a community center. It had a long hall, and I remember people having to fight their way down the hall to get in to vote. And the 100-foot marker was one of the best things that was ever done to keep people away, although I've got 2 precincts, which I won't have after November, but I can't even get on the property. But I just think this is causing will cause a turmoil. And telemarketer, I'm glad they tell you, so I don't have to answer it. Sorry about that.
You're fine.
But I can't support your bill. I know you've got good intention, but I don't want to see us go back to the fighting your way through. And so I'll be voting no. But thank
Chairman
you.
Moody, you're
Thank you, Mr.
recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Leader Camper, I don't know, this is one thing that was brought to my attention, and maybe it's more of a problem in rural. I can't say that, completely, but it was pointed out to me that in some of these locations, like you said, there were people coming in from the outside, and they would sometimes not leave and station themselves behind the registrar. And then so the person that was the judge was having some issues with outside, and then this is going on, and then they come back and have to take care of that one. So I think, like was pointed out, maybe when we hope people, we want them to come and vote and all and have a good turnout, but it can get very very confusing, and just a lot of opportunity, I think, that maybe I don't think you're intending that at all. I hear what you're saying, because I've been out there working and volunteering, and you do have to leave usually. But I just wanted to share that concern that had been shared with me about it. It did open the door for people to try to come in and maybe look to see who had voted or not, and before going out. So just I'm struggling to vote for this. Thank you.
Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Leader. I've had the opportunity to hear this bill in subcommittee, and when I was in there, I felt like it was not a big, great concern. Of course, you and I spoke over the weekend last weekend, and I heard from my local election office, and we had a great discussion about it. Of course, when I've had the pleasure of serving the 42nd district for several years, and then got to work in the precincts trying to get people's votes as well. And it seems like the burden that we put on elections in order to administer these elections is far greater than just encouraging our volunteers or staff members that are there to help work on our campaigns to go support their local business and utilize the restroom there. There was some concern that by opening or having to designate these places, that you would have this opportunity for people to cross paths and impact the vote. And so for that reason, I'm not going to be supportive of your bill in this committee. Thank you.
Chairman. Representative Love, we'll go ahead and take you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to the sponsor. Leader Camper, present day, a non-campaign worker can enter this building for the purposes of using the restroom. Is that correct?
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes.
Present day, a non-campaign worker can go in there and unfortunately maybe disrupt the election process today.
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes. Leader.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I hear the concerns of my colleagues, and I want to lift up the fact that present day, non-campaign workers can do everything that we're fearing that campaign workers will do. And I don't know your experience, Leader Camper, but when I ask people to volunteer for my campaign to hold a sign out there, these are people that I trust because I know that if they're out there, they represent me.
That's right.
And whatever actions they take is going to be a reflection on my campaign. And I certainly don't want to be cited by the election commission. So I would hope that members would think about that we have to have a glass half full mindset sometimes. We can't always think about what are going to be the possible negative ramifications. Because if you do that, we'll, in infinitum, think about what could all go wrong with all our bills. And so again, this is permissive, correct?
It is. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And it leaves up to the election commission the authority to say that they want to, and then to formulate some rules around it, correct?
Leader Camper,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Leader.
follow up. Representative Love.
And in the legislation, it does say things like you must remove clothing, you cannot attempt to solicit votes while in there,
Mhm.
or you're subject to punishment, correct?
Thank you, Ms. Oh,
You're recognized.
thank
Leader
you,
Camper.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, Leader.
Okay, thank you, Leader, and thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, for the chance to ask these questions of Leader Camp about this good bill that I would like to support, and hopefully we all can get behind it. Thank you.
Chairman Moon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point of clarification. A person who isn't volunteering to work on a campaign, if they have already voted, really has no place within the 100-foot line. I'm just making a request illegal as whether or not that feeling is correct. If you've already voted in the election, should you be in the polling place within the 100-foot line?
Chairman Moon, if you could wait, we'll go ahead and take these other two questions, and then without objection, we'll go out of session and hear from legal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I sat here and listened, I think maybe we could fix this if we put the responsibility on the candidate. And that is the candidate call and give 4 names, people who's working on his or her campaign. And if those 4 people get out of order, then Johnny Shaw just is suspended from his campaign. I think that fixes it, and at the same time, it gives the public, or the people who are working on the campaign, an opportunity to go to, because people do need to go to the bathroom. I mean, they really do. If you think about a whole day working, even 8 hours, you need to have access to a restroom. But in my opinion, I think we could fix it if we put an amendment on it and put the responsibility on the campaign itself. Because it's not fair for me to ask someone to work for me 8 hours and they don't have a place to go to the bathroom. It's really not fair for me to do that. So, Leader Camp, I guess, to you, if I may ask you, would you consider maybe a role and put some kind of amendment on it to make sure that everybody was protected so nobody could cheat?
Leader Camper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that recommendation. Yeah, I have no problem with that. And considering the Chairman Moon's concern, we'll have an opportunity to work on that too if we need to. So I have no problem rolling it.
Without objection, we will roll this 1 week.
1 week.
Without objection. Seeing none, rolled 1 week.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
At this time, we're going to jump back in the calendar. We have Speaker Marsh with us. This is House Bill 2906. Proper motion and second. Speaker Marsh, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. HB 2906 is a local bill for the town of Petersburg in Lincoln County. It reduces the number of aldermen from 7 to 5 and reduces the number of readings required to pass an ordinance from 3 to 2. And the alderman can pick from one of their 5 person to be the mayor. With that, I'll answer any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? Questions been called on the bill. We're ready to vote. All in favor of House Bill 2906, moving on, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item on the agenda is House Bill 1125 by Chairman Farmer. Proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Chairman Farmer, if you could give us your drafting code.
Yeah, that's, Mr. Chair and committee members, that's 015980.
That is correct. We got a proper motion and second on the amendment. Looks like the amendment makes the bill.
It does.
Committee, without objection, we'll go ahead and put the amendment on the bill to be discussed. All in favor of amendment number 15980 going on the bill, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. Chairman Farmer, you're recognized on your bills amended.
Thank you, members. And we have a unique situation this year. There's 2 vacancies on the Court of Criminal Appeals and then 1 on the Court of Appeals. And there's no mechanism in the law for a judge who is currently already running in the May primary there that they be removed and be appointed to the Court of Criminal Appeals or Court of Appeals and allow for them to then be replaced by another candidate. So what this does is just loosens up and allows for this to happen. This is kind of I think a unique situation. I don't know that we've really ran into it before, but this would allow for a mechanism to allow for the governor to vet and then appoint for those replacements on the Court of Criminal Appeals and Court of Appeals, and then for replacement to be allowed to run in the primary elections.
You've heard the discussion of the sponsors. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 1125. Moving on, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Thank you, Chairman Farmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members.
Item number 6, House Bill 1386 by Chairman Todd. I do see it has an amendment. Do I have a motion and second on the bill? Motion and second on the bill. And can you please give us your drafting code, Chairman Todd?
Yes, sir. It's 16628.
That is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second on the amendment. I do see that it rewrites the bill. Without objection, we'll go ahead and put the amendment on the bill to be discussed. All in favor of amendment 16628, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You're recognized, Chairman Todd, on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And in our code right now, we have a law that allows sheriffs and clerks to sue the county commission if they don't feel like their mission is funded properly. And what this does is put some some more definitions in that code. When it was written and passed many, many years ago, it was to be an expedited process. And I've had judges approach me and others across the state that have great concerns about how this has become a not so expedited process in many cases. And I've worked with a number of attorneys and judges, the Bar Association across the state in the last year to get this crafted. And what you see before you is the last version that we all agreed to last week. And I feel like it's a good piece of legislation that answers a lot of questions, but it still accomplishes the mission of what that original law's intent was. So with that, sir, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
You've heard the discussion of the sponsor. Any questions? Seeing none. Representative Shaw, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the sponsor, let me just make this quick comment and then I'll ask you a question. I know that our county is in litigation as we speak. However, I can't point out whose fault it is, but I know the citizens of Hardeman County is under the penalty of paying over $500,000 back in lawsuits because leadership failed to do some things that it should do. How does this bill affect present litigation?
Chairman Todd.
This is for the point that it's signing the law forward. It does not affect anything in the past. It would not have any effect, I'm told, on any current litigation. And in fact, it helps solve some of the problems that were created in that situation that you referred to by putting some more guardrails on this process.
Representative Shaw.
Well, I guess when you say it helps solve some of those problems, I guess it would depend on who were guilty in terms of what happened. I kind of know what happened, which I won't get into, but I think all leaders are responsible for providing good leadership. I don't see a mayor putting his or herself in a position to be sued if you be a good mayor. I have a problem supporting the legislation because of some present experiences that I've had. And at the same time, I do feel like that if I deserve to be compensated for what I've lost, I deserve to have it back. And if I'm a sheriff, I deserve to have a budget to run a county, to keep people safe. And if I don't get it, the law says I can sue the county commission. Not really the mayor, but the county commission. But of course, in some cases, the county commission don't have any say so at all. The mayor is running the show. So I just have a problem with this legislation. You know, we come from the same district, but I really do have a problem with it. I thank you for bringing it, but I have a problem. Thank you.
Chairman Todd for a response.
Just very simply, the law already says that the mayor is the person that the charge or the lawsuit is filed against. And so this doesn't change that. This keeps that the same, but just again, puts a better box around it so that these lawsuits don't get out of hand. They're spending an awful lot of money on legal fees in some cases. In the case he's talking about, they literally, the citizens of that county spent over $500,000 in legal fees, and that was greatly reduced over what was requested. They got $120,000 or $30,000 a year in the budget to show for it. So this is to try to get the judges more in control of what's going on in their courtroom.
Leader Gant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you give me some examples? I mean, you just mentioned attorney fees. So give me you don't have to talk to a specific county or situation, but can you give some examples of where this is being abused?
Chairman Todd.
I've heard from judges across the state that have tried these cases before, and they have seen how they have gone off the rails, so to speak, and gotten extended. These are meant to be an expedited process. Obviously, you've got a county commission trying to pass a budget. They get a lawsuit. They need it settled quickly. The sheriff or the clerk needs it settled quickly so that they can go ahead and budget appropriately. And they, in many cases, there have been folks that have dragged these things out for months and months and months, even into the next year, the next budget year. So there's not a resolution for the current budget year. Specific counties, I can't, other than that one I'm familiar with, just because I've had so many people approach me about it. But I certainly wasn't involved in it. Don't know a lot of great details other than what I have asked of the judge that was over that case.
Leader Gant.
So are we getting at the litigation fees from the attorneys that are litigating this? Is that where it's being abused? I'm just trying to understand the legislation.
The original bill filed that actually passed the Senate without anybody even noticing it had a $15,000 cap on attorney fees. And so once I filed that in the House, I started understanding from the parties that are involved in this that can't work. You can't have a fee structure set up that would fit all counties. Obviously, the budget in Lake County is a lot different from Davidson County and so forth. And so one size doesn't fit all. So we then began to structure this so that it gave the judges more control. It gave the litigants and the defendants more direction on how they handle a case like this to be able to expedite it without dragging it out for months and months.
Leader Gant.
So, point of question, one of my colleagues just mentioned a county that I represent, so which kind of sparked my ears here, and I just heard either him or you say that $500,000 was used in litigation fees to the county or to the state. Can one of y'all drill down into that more? Because I mean, that seems an exorbitant amount of money.
Chairman Todd.
In that particular case, I understand that the sheriff's attorney asked for over $900,000 in attorney's fees for that one case. He was awarded by the judge, according to the rules of all the court proceedings and the rules of civil procedure. He was awarded a little over $300,000. They then awarded the county attorney, who's having to fight the same battle for the county, about half of that. So over $500,000 went out from the taxpayers to attorney's fees alone. They ended up getting the settlement they got from the judge. I understand it didn't have a specific dollar figure. It was a percent raise, but it amounted to somewhere in $120,000 to $130,000 a year in the budget. So it cost over $500,000 to get $120,000 or $30,000.
Leader Gant.
So whose fault is that?
Chairman Todd.
I'm not going to say it's anybody's fault. It's just the way the system is currently, and that's what we're trying to fix by this legislation, so that these cannot be a runaway case where an attorney just keeps asking for more motions, filing more motions, asking for more depositions, more witnesses. Sometimes they may ask for dozens of witnesses in a case like this when there's only one or two needed. And so this, again, I've worked with all the attorneys that have been fighting this, a lot of them across the state that have been dealing with this on both sides, both for the county and for the sheriff or the clerk in certain situations. And they have all come to the table and had a hand in crafting this so that we put limitations on the time that it takes to run this through and get an answer from a judge.
Leader Gant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Love.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My questions were answered by the others. Thank you.
Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I really don't feel comfortable to get into all of this in a public setting, but I do know enough about the case to know that I don't think anybody know how much money has been spent, because the county attorney was basically fired. And then they went and got another attorney who I really thought helped write this legislation, and I may be wrong, I don't know, but I just know that way too much money has been spent in our county. And again, I just need to say that it is important that we all be leaders. And if you got a budget, you can't take somebody's budget and expect for them to run the county, whether it be the sheriff or whoever it is. And I would rather just talk privately with you, leader, and other folks about this. But I personally just think right now that this legislation might be more harm than it would help. That's what I'm gonna say and leave it there, and I'll talk to you privately about it. Thank you.
That has completed our list. You're recognized, Chairman Todd, for final remarks.
I would just say I certainly respect the representative's comments and his concerns about this. This does not affect that case whatsoever. That's in the past. This is only for cases going forward.
Questions being called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 1386. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. If you'd like to be recorded as a no, please see the clerk. Item number 7, House Bill 2829 by Representative Parkinson. Do I have a motion? Got a proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Representative Parkinson, can you please give us your drafting code?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee and staff. The drafting code is 016539.
Okay, Representative Parkinson, give me 1 second.
Sure.
16935. Okay, all right. Just wanted to make sure we're on the right amendment. Amendment number 016539. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second on the amendment. You're recognized on the amendment, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Mr. Chair, with your indulgence, do you mind if I explain what happened last week so everybody's on the same page? I know I explained it to you and I explained it to Chairman Carr, but I don't know if the rest of the committee understood what went on last week.
You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So last week, Chairman Carr, and I thank him for that, brought to my attention that there was an actual fiscal note on this bill from the amendment that we had put on last week. I didn't realize that there was a fiscal note on the bill because it wasn't in my folder as they normally are. And when I had a chance to look at the language of the bill, there was a typo from legal as to the language that was put into the bill, and it made the language a little bit, well, actually it made the language duplicative of the previous amendment that we had put on. And it was something, for all of our, I don't know if there's any new legislators on this committee, but it was something as simple as the number 1 being in parentheses on the amendment versus the number 1 not being in parentheses on the amendment. And that number 1 in parentheses put $169,000 onto the bill. And this was the language that is in the amendment now that we're adopting now is the same language that the comptroller sent for the previous amendment, but this language is that language without the typo. And so this language now with this amendment that rewrites the bill actually removes the fiscal note from the bill. And that language came directly from the comptroller's office because the intent was not to have a bill that carried a fiscal note with it. And Chairman Carr, again, thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I was under the impression that the language was drafted in the right posture and removed the fiscal note. And if you look at, on the fiscal note, if you look at bullet point number 3, I think 1, 2, 3, bullet point number 3, it says, based on information provided by the COT, the additional duty can be accomplished utilizing existing staff and resources, resulting in no significant fiscal impact to the COT. And I think that was what our challenge was last week. So with that, Mr. Chair, I hope that we'll adopt the amendment.
Chairman Carr, your name was called. Okay. You've heard the discussion of the amendment. Any questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to put the amendment 16539 on the bill. Please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amendment. Representative Parkinson, you're recognized on the complete bill as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you again to the committee and staff. All this bill does is it's permissive. Number one, let me make sure I'm clear with that. It's permissive in nature, completely permissive, and all it does is allows cities, counties, or school boards to recruit police, fire, teachers, medical professionals such as doctors and nurses by coming up with a program, their own program, with these guidelines that's outlined in the program for grant incentives from those municipalities or the school board or the county or the city. And that's basically what the bill does.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Chairman Carr, you're recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. To the sponsor, is basically what you're saying in here is the incentive would be that they would get their property tax or what that is equal to paid for a certain amount of time. Is that what we're striving at?
Representative Parkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Chairman Carr, under this bill, they can provide grants in their grant program up to the amount of the property taxes for those individuals that they're trying to recruit in those 4 professions.
Follow up, Chairman.
Yes, thank you. Well, excuse me, Representative, I mean, how many years is this going to go? Will it go on and on and on, or?
Representative Parkinson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And let me clarify also on your previous question to Chairman Carr, that these grants are not to be used for them to pay their property taxes, because that would be unconstitutional. These grants are to be provided for up to the amount, and I want to be clear on up to the amount. That doesn't mean that it even has to reach the amount of the property taxes, but it can be in their program up to the amount of the property tax. And Chairman Carr, to your second question, that would be up to those municipalities as they deem fit, because they are also responsible for finding the funding to even implement a program like this. And so if they decide it's going to be for 5 years, if they decide it's going to be for 1 year, that's up to the municipality or the granting organization.
Follow up, Chairman Carr.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I was just looking at it, and it says it's got a clawback provision. I don't know how you claw that back if people still living there and they didn't pay it back. I've got a few doubts about it. I mean, it's permissive, but I don't know that we want to allow some governments to go in and start doing this and the others not doing it. It just might make for a tense moment for me. But anyway, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Parkinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a quick response in regards to clawback. Chairman Carr, that is for an individual that breaches the contract. And so let's say, for instance, if in let's say if a rural county in our state says, hey, we want to recruit doctors or nurses to our county, and we're going to contract with them for, let's say, 5 years. So they have to be here for 5 years. And they decide that they don't want to work in that job anymore for whatever reason. I'm just putting this example out of there. And so they are then in breach of that contract in regards to receiving those grant funds. So that clawback provision is to ensure that that money is paid back to the county so that the county does not lose any money in their program. And so that's the purpose of the clawback program.
Chairman Carr, your name was called.
Thank you, Chairman. Well, I guess I can't get my mind wrapped around that. This county may decide one thing, this county may decide another thing, and then I think you'd have a problem on all that, trying to draw that back. And then this guy worked 3 years here, and then he says, oh, they're giving more grants over to this other county. I'll just go over there and get that grant, and then I'll call back, pay these guys back. I just don't know if it'd be a domino effect. That's the only thing I've got in my mind. But
Yes, sir.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Previous question has been called. We're ready to vote on the amended House Bill 2829. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. The noes have it. Your bill fails.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
It will be sent to the special calendar to be reconsidered.
Okay, and
if
just a
possible.
question, quick question,
sir.
parliamentary, just for my,
Yes.
did the amendment fail to get on, or did the bill fail? Just so I'm clear.
No, we put the amendment
Okay,
on. The
okay,
bill
thank you.
failed as
Thank you,
amended.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Committee.
Item number 8 today, House Bill 2905, we've taken up. Item number 9, House Bill 2159. Without objection, it will be rolled to the hill. Item number 10, House Bill 2303 by Representative Cochran. Got a proper motion? Is there a second? Proper second. I do see it has a couple of amendments. Representative Cochran, can you please give us the drafting code of the amendments you want to run?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may request a roll call, if that's okay, on these votes. My first amendment is 016187.
That is correct. We do have a motion in second. Are you going to run the second amendment or just that one?
Yeah, we're just going to be running the first amendment.
Okay. Let's go ahead and put the amendment on the bill. I need a motion and a second on the amendment. Proper motion and second on the amendment. All in favor of amendment 16187 going on to the bill, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. Representative Cochran, you're recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And so essentially, we talked about this in subcommittee, and I've had the opportunity to speak with many of you over the last few days. Essentially, what this bill is doing, it's permitting something that is already being done by some local governments. And the best way I can explain it to you is just to tell you what's happening in my home county, and just to kind of give you the numbers there. So essentially, in McMinn County, it costs about $10,000 to insure each employee. What McMinn County does is they offer an incentive to employees. If that employee's spouse has insurance somewhere else, they offer an incentive for them to get on their spouse's plan. And the incentive in McMinn County is roughly about $1,500. So essentially, every employee who takes advantage of that, that's about an $8,500 savings for the county. So for McMinn County, about 20 folks take advantage of that. That ends up being, roughly about a $200,000 savings for McMinn County. That's about 2 cents on our tax rate. That's a pretty big deal. And so essentially what brought this, to our attention, for many years, McMinn County had been audited by a private firm. This last year was the first time that the state of Tennessee actually audited the county. And so they ran across this. They said, actually, this is very good financial practice. We don't have any problem with this, in a fiduciary sense, but we just got to make sure that state law expressly allows it, because that's how county governments operate. If it's not permissive in state law for a county to do it, it results in an audit finding. And so I believe there's some cities, I believe Newbern, Tennessee, according to I spoke with Representative Grills, they do this. Cities are able, as y'all know, as well as cities have a little bit more autonomy to make those policy changes than counties. Counties, we have to change it into law. I know there are a few questions on the fiscal note. Just to clarify on that, of course, that is a local permissive fiscal note. I confirmed with Chairman Hicks, that's not something that gets held up in finance. And so, basically fiscal review, when they add up the fiscal note, they consider the payments, but they're not able to consider the savings to those counties, right? For the savings that each one of those payments represent. So that's kind of results in that local permissive fiscal note, but just to give you a little bit of explanation on that. But again, in speaking with Chairman Hicks, that should not be a problem in finance. So I will yield to any questions. Again, this one's pretty straightforward and a permissive bill, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the sponsor? Chairman Williams.
Thank you. Representative, I thank you for this bill. I think I understand it pretty well. What happened, but I literally just thought of this, or I'd asked you before the meeting. What happens if you have a husband and wife and they both work for the city or county? I'm having a hard time fleshing that out. Would that mean that the one or the other would get $1,500 to join, or would they all both automatically be on?
Representative Cochran, you're recognized.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I believe in that in McMinn County situation, for instance, both of those would have insurance through that particular county. There would not be an incentive. Both of them would have insurance through county government. Now again, perhaps if each particular county could look at that policy, but I would imagine you would just there's nothing in this law that would hamstring you to offer an incentive in that situation.
Chairman Williams.
Thank you. No further questions, Chairman.
Any other questions? Seeing none, the chairman will take privilege. I have a couple of questions. One being the fiscal note of $147,892,400. If this was adopted, that would be a increase to our locals. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, again, I believe that would not be an increase because the fiscal review takes into account that the county is giving out that incentive. What they're not taking into account is that each time you give that incentive, that also represents, again, sometimes roughly up to $8,500 in savings. And so the fiscal note takes into account that, the incentive that you're giving to those employees permissively if the county chooses to do that, but it does not take into account the savings. So again, I would disagree that no, I do not believe that would be a cost to local governments. It's certainly not a cost to our local government. It's a huge savings.
Okay. Who pays for it then if it's not the locals?
Right. Well, again, what I would argue is that you're at a net positive, so there's nothing for the locals to pay. They're saving $8,500 from not having to insure that person. So that $1,500 payment is not a cost to them. It's an $8,500 savings. So there's not a payment. So they're not having to pay that. It's a savings, not a payment.
Okay. So fiscal review is wrong, I guess. My next question would be on this, because it really concerns me that this could possibly go back to the locals. You stood before the subcommittee and you said you would get this fiscal note off or you wouldn't run it. How do you respond to that?
Right. Well, again, Mr. Chairman, I don't believe I ever said that I would not run it without a fiscal note. I did say that I would work with fiscal and we would try to take care of it. And so what we did, that's what that amendment did. The initial fiscal note, which was, again, local and permissive, it was a very large number. And it's because the original bill allowed you to give up to the entire premium as an incentive, which obviously would not make sense. No county would give the entire premium. And so, again, in my county's instance, we give about 15%. And so the amendment brings it down to 15% of the amount of the premium the county pays. That's what brought that fiscal note down by about 90%. So it did not wipe it away entirely, but the amendment brought it down about 90%. And again, just to reemphasize, it's a local permissive fiscal note. If a county, thinks that this is not in their best interest, they don't have to do it. But I can tell you, it certainly has been in the best interest of ours, and I don't see how it would not save you money.
Thank you for that explanation. Let's see, Chairman Rudd.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Where did this, again, could you explain exactly where this originated?
Sure. No, absolutely. So it's a policy that McMinn County has done for many years. And so again, we provide an incentive. Just to go over that briefly one more time, it costs about $10,000 per employee to insure them. And so the county would give a $1,500 incentive if a county employees could get insurance through their spouse. If their spouse has insurance through another employer, they could get that $1,500, not be insured through the county, and then the county realizes that $8,500 savings. The only thing that really brought it to my attention was the first year of state audit. The auditors came in and said, well, hey, this is actually a good financial practice. We've just got to make sure that in state law, it expressly allows you to do it. And so there was no fiduciary issue with the policy. They just said, hey, we've got, with a county government, a county can only do what state law permits it to do. And so that's what this would do. It's a permissive portion of code that if a county wants to do it, they can do it and realize that savings without an audit finding.
Chairman Rudd,
And I believe you are a county employee yourself, aren't you? So,
I am.
Representative Cochran.
Question on this. If this is something that McMahon's used, do you have a 2/3 from the McMahon County stating they want this at McMahon to be codified?
Representative Cochran.
Well, again, so this is a permissive. This is not something that forces McMinn County or any other county to do anything. This is just an issue that was brought to my attention when the audit was published. And so this isn't anything that we're trying to force or ask any county to do. It's just permitting it if they would like to realize those savings that have been very real for the last 15 years that have saved our taxpayers millions of dollars. Now, again, if a county doesn't want to do that, they don't have to. But this puts a portion of code in there that if a county would like to take advantage of it, they certainly can.
Chairman Rudd.
I guess the only real issue I have about it is that my county has not come to me about it. I don't like, even if it's permissive, I don't like forcing a policy onto my county. They may not want, in some instances, counties may not want that option. It's like special acts and other things. They may not want that option in their individual county. So I would be very hesitant to force this permissive option to each county because some of them may not want it. Thank you.
Representative Shaw.
I think my question's been answered, but I just want to be sure now. It's statewide application, but it's permissive.
Representative Cochran.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. It would be statewide application, but permissive. So any county could take advantage of it if they wanted to. If they don't have to do that.
Representative Calfee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Would this not, a better way to handle this, would this not be with a charter change for McMinn County?
Representative Cochran.
Well, Representative Calfee, counties do not have charters for the most part. Counties are under general application of state law. And so McMinn County, like most counties, other than some of your larger metro counties, there is no charter. For you to make a change for a county, you have to make it through general application of state law.
Representative Calfee.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you clearing that up for me.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. All those in favor of House Bill 20. Okay, thank you. This will be a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Representative Calfee? No. Calfee, no. Representative Carr? Yes. Carr, yes. Representative Chisholm? Yes. Yep. Chisholm, A. Representative Gant?
Yes.
Gant, yes. Representative Helton? Yes. Helton, yes. Representative Hodges? Yes. Hodges, yes. Representative Coleslaw? Yes. Sorry, Holsclaw.
Coleslaw.
My apologies.
That's great.
My apologies. Sorry.
I would say your name was called, but it wasn't, so.
Sorry, Representative Holsclaw? Holsclaw, yes. Representative Leatherwood? Yes. Leatherwood, yes. Representative Love? Yes. Love, yes. Representative Manis? Manis, yes. Representative Miller? Representative Moody? Yes. Moody, yes. Representative Moon? Representative Moon, pass. Representative Reedy? Reedy, aye. Representative Red? Representative Red, pass. Representative Shaw? Yes. Shaw, yes. Representative Williams? Aye. Williams, yes. Vice Chairman Wright? Yes. Wright, yes. Chairman Crawford?
No.
Chairman Crawford, no. Chairman Crawford, you have 14 yeses, 2 nos, and 2 present not voting.
Bill passes, moves on to finance.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
Personal privilege, Representative Shaw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I realize I'm out of order, but I want to recognize Miss Bethany Miller, who's here with us today. She's here shadowing me this week. Bethany, if you would stand up and give us a bow, we'd like to recognize you being here today. Thank you.
Item number 11, House Bill 2536 by Chairman Williams. He's asked that this be rolled to the Hill. Without objection, it'll be rolled to the Hill. Item number 12, House Bill 2797 by Representative Stewart. He has asked that this be rolled 1 week. Without objection, we will roll this 1 week. Item number 13, House Bill 2642 by Representative Powell. I don't see him in here. I do know that the Senate took this action up and it failed in Senate, state, and local government yesterday. So you make that in the form of a motion?
Second.
Proper motion and second. Without objection, we'll vote on House Bill 2642 being placed on the clerk's desk. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. It's on the clerk's desk. House Bill 1977, item number 14, Representative Freeman has taken that off notice. Item number 15, House Bill 2121 by Representative Warner. I do see him in the audience. Representative Warner, you are recognized. I do see it has an amendment. Got a proper motion and second on the bill. I need a motion and second on the amendment. Proper motion and second on the amendment. Representative Warner, you're recognized on your amendment. Representative Warner, I do see that it makes the bill.
Yes, I'm not.
Are you running 16024? No, 2121. Representative Reedy, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And Representative, I'm showing that this bill has failed in the Senate. Is that correct? Now,
This is a local bill for
it's
the
House
city of
Bill-
Lewisburg.
No, it's House Bill 2121.
No, that's the wrong bill.
No, that's the bill we're on. You're on the wrong bill.
Okay, I had two bills. I'm sorry. Yes, this bill did fail in the Senate. Yes, I'm sorry.
So are you taking that off notice?
Take this bill off notice, please.
Without objection, it's off notice. Item 16 is House Bill 2904 by Representative Warner. Let proper motion and second. Let the record reflect that I do have a vote of 2/3 majority from the governing body. And Representative Warner, you're recognized on your bill.
That would make an amendment to the Lewisburg charter that would allow impact fees for new construction within the municipal limits to be collected so long as it is approved by 2/3 of the vote of the legislative body for the city of Lewisburg. As a lot of you know, we have tremendous growth here in Middle Tennessee, especially around southern Middle Tennessee. We're seeing a lot of that in Marshall County and around the city. And what the city is wanting to do is to be able to charge an impact fee on new construction rather than raising property taxes on existing taxpayers to help cover costs of the new infrastructure that's going to be needed for all the new growth. And that's what this bill does. It gives them the ability to take a vote on that if they so choose.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And to the sponsor, we've had this in one particular county already. And of course, this is Lewisburg here. And we did deny that person that same particular want and ask here. I could not be comfortable with taking your bill now and running it forward. I know that it's by the 2/3 vote and everything, but if we give them control, I mean, they're not only asking for just a infrastructure bill, but the bill says they want to make changes to the public utility systems, telecommunications system, public infrastructure, and impose fees on new land developments by ordinance. Now, land developments, I mean, does that just mean, well, anyway, I'm not for the bill anyway, but does land developments mean the land that they're going to develop or after they build a house on it? I mean, that's a little unclear to me, but even in this concept with me and my committee, subcommittee the other day, turning down one for, and I will call it out, Maury County, I do not feel right trying to even pass this bill here. So as far as I'm concerned, I will have to vote no on this, Mr. Sponsor, just so you know.
Representative Warner.
Yes, sir. This bill would allow them to charge a fee, to my understanding, per square foot on new construction.
Leader Gant.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I share the same sentiment that Representative Carr has mentioned as well. And even in my district, I've had one of my municipalities come to me with this same approach, and I've told them that I would not even entertain that, and even if being in my own district. So, and can't be supportive here as well. So just want to be on record as being consistent across the board, not just on your legislation, but on all of these that come forward. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I understand that, but I think their thinking is,
Representative Warner, you're recognized.
that we don't want to charge our hometown folks that's lived here all their life for the new construction that's coming in. They look at it as a, I guess you want to call it maybe a fair tax that the new growth pays for the new infrastructure. And I think that's all they're trying to do here.
Any other questions for the sponsor? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2904. Moving on, please say aye. Opposed, no. No. Bill fails.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee.
You're welcome. Item number 7, Chairman Williams, you are recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I had an opportunity to speak with the clerk about the bill that we had up previously, item number 13 on the calendar, House Bill 2642. The fine chairman from Sevier County I found out that the clerk's office, we cannot refer a bill directly to the clerk's desk. We can refer a bill to the special calendar, of which time it would give the opportunity for the member to either take it off notice or we can kill it then. But so I'm going to make a motion to reconsider our actions on sending House Bill 2642 to the clerk's desk. Make a motion to reconsider our actions.
Do I have a second? Properly seconded to reconsider our actions. All those in favor of reconsideration say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We reconsider our actions and you're recognized on your motion.
Thank you, Chairman and members. I make a motion to send House Bill 2642, item number 13 on the calendar, to the special calendar.
Proper second. We got a motion second. We're ready to vote. Without objection, we're moving House Bill 2642 to the special calendar. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Bill's on the special calendar. Thank you, Representative Williams. Item number 17, House Bill 2721 by Representative Love. The sponsor has asked that this be taken off notice. Without objection, it'll be taken off notice. Item 18, House Bill 1004 by Representative Love. The sponsor has asked that this be taken off notice without objection. You want to be recognized, sir? I guess for you to speak on it, I need a motion and a second. Proper motion and seconded. You're recognized, Representative Love.
I was going to tease Representative Shaw about something, but I won't, Mr. Chairman, so thank you. Taking off notice.
Without objection, House Bill 1004 be taken off notice. Item number 19, House Bill 2902 by Representative Reedy. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second. Representative Reedy, I have received a vote of 2/3 majority from your governing body, and you're recognized on House Bill 2902.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And reading from the resolution from the city of McEwen, that the bill to be introduced and enacted at the 2022 session of the General Assembly to adopt a private act amending the municipal charter of the city of McEwen to restate and revise positions relative to various principal officers of the municipality, their functions and responsibility, and their appointment and removal. And really speaking, the majority of this resolution is specific to a city manager.
You've heard the explanation from the sponsor. Is there any questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote on House Bill 2902. Without objection, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 2902 moves on to calendar rules. Item 20, House Bill 2061 by Representative Manis.
Motion.
Proper motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Properly seconded. Representative Manis, I do see that this has an amendment. Can you please give us your drafting code?
That's correct. 013160.
That is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and a second on the amendment. It does make the bill. So we'll go ahead and put that on and discuss the bill. All in favor of amendment number 13160 going on the bill, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. Representative Manis, you are recognized on your bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee. Currently in law, most complaints regarding PACs can be reported to the district attorney's office in the county where the complaint is filed. Due to how the law is currently written, there's no oversight for a local multi-candidate PAC. Therefore, the DA's office does not have the legal jurisdiction to review complaints or seek recourse for violations regarding multi-candidate committees or multi-candidate PACs. We sought the advice of Bill Young to rewrite this code so that multi-candidate PACs would be included. And I will also add, while the Association of District Attorneys has not officially asked for this change, I have worked closely with the Knox County DA, and they do agree that this clarity would be valuable, and obviously it would need to come from the legislature. So I will answer any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions? The question has been called. We're ready to vote on House Bill 2061. Without objection, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Thank you, Representative Manis.
Thank you.
House Bill 2336, item number 21. 2336 is by Chairman Rudd. Chairman Rudd, I do see that your bill has an amendment. Do I have a motion and second on the bill? Proper motion and second on the bill. Can you please give us your drafting code?
Drafting code, well, first of all, the drafting code of the amendment that makes the bill is 016627. Let me explain this. This is an amendment worked out over the weekend. The Department of Safety had a concern with the wording of the bill, that it did not include them because they register voters at the time they sign people up for licenses, and it only addressed the actual county commission. Worked out a compromise so that they're deferred on that, but it was an untimely filed amendment since I didn't get their wording till Monday. So rather than ask you to take up an untimely filed amendment, I'm going to ask you to roll this to the Hill so we can attach it properly.
Without objection, we will roll this to the Hill. Item 22, House Bill 2337 by Representative Rudd. Proper motion and second. I do see it has an amendment. Can we please have your drafting code, Chairman?
015439.
That is correct. Do I have a motion on the amendment? Proper motion and second on the amendment. You're recognized on the amendment, Chairman Rudd.
Thank you. This is more of a cleanup bill than anything. When we passed previous legislation, what this does, it allows a county employee or a city employee to serve on a county election commission as long as they are not under the direct supervision of a county official, of an elected official, excuse me, and that's all it does.
You've heard the explanation from the sponsors. Are there any questions? Without objection, we're ready to vote on House Bill 23 on Amendment 015439. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. You've heard the discussion on the bill. We're ready to vote on the bill. All those in favor of House Bill 2337, moving on, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Item 23, House Bill 2585 by Chairman Rudd. Do I have a motion? Proper motion and second on the bill. I do see it has an amendment. Can we please have your drafting code?
I believe that should be 16108.
That is correct. Proper motion and second on the amendment. You're recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee. This is from the Secretary of State's office. What this does, it creates and I told you about this when I passed another audit bill that I was holding. It was waiting on this one. This is a much needed transparency and audit bill. What this would do is the Secretary of State's office and the county election commissions will conduct audits after each August and November election. The Secretary of State will randomly select counties on election day. 3 counties will be audited in the August election, and 6 counties will be audited in the November election. And it also creates a pilot program in Williamson County that will conduct audits for May, August, and November 22 election as a test run. The counties using the precinct-based optical scanners already have to audit under state law. That would continue. And additionally, the expense of this would be paid for by the Help America Vote Act, and there is a funding letter on the way for that. And with that, I'm open for any questions.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Any questions for the sponsor? The question has been called. We're ready to vote on Amendment 01618 going on the bill. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, no. Bill's now amended. Any final question has been called on the bill. We're ready to vote without objection on House Bill 2585. Moving on, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill moves on to finance. We're going to jump back to House Bill 2907 by Chairman Williams. Do I have a motion? Got a proper motion and second. Let the record reflect that I have received a 2/3 majority resolution for the governing body. I do see it has an amendment. Chairman Williams, can you please give us your drafting code?
Yes, Chairman Crawford. The amendment drafting code is 016464.
That is correct. Proper motion and second on the amendment. You're recognized on the amendment. Chairman Williams.
Thank you, Chairman and members. This bill I'm carrying for the Speaker, it creates a new Cumberland, water conservatory authority in Cumberland County. He has worked diligently over the years to get a collaborative effort to create a new commission to supply adequate drinking water and sewage, wastewater treatment facilities consortium there. This bill would allow that to do, allow them to form this water authority. The bill is 20 pages, but the most important part is he's worked with the Comptroller's office to make sure the Comptroller is doing regular audits of that. And this would just stand up that authority and determine who the members of the authority are. With that, Chairman, I'm happy to answer any questions the members might have.
You've heard the explanation of the sponsor. Is there any questions for him? Question has been called on Amendment 16464. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Bill is now amended. Any closing remarks, Chairman Williams, on House Bill 2907?
No, sir.
Question has been called. We're ready to vote without objection on House Bill 2907. All in favor, please say aye. opposed, no. Bill moves on to calendar and rules. Representative Williams, you're recognized.
Thank you. Chairman, after consultation with Representative Coleslaw, I make a motion to adjourn.
That is a proper motion. Before we adjourn, I do have to let everyone know that the bills that we did not get to hear today will be heard on next week's calendar. Without objection, we are adjourned.